Welcome back to Code Wolf, a place where you learn, code, and grow. So last time we added some CSS to make sure that our cards start looking a bit better. And now what we are going to do is add even a bit more CSS, add some animation so that we can finally see our cards taking shape. So the way to do that simply would be to go to our app dot or our flashcard. Now over here we have set some classes already over here. And what we want to do is basically go back to then our app.css, wherein we want to add certain parameters over here so that we can see our cards a bit more properly. So let's say that I want to add my background color. First of all, I want to see if the cards taking shape. So the background color should be white. Let's add some height over here. For now, I'm using a fixed height, but will be, as we move forward, we'll be setting a dynamic height based upon the grid structure or based upon our screen size. So this is just to showcase what would happen right now. And we have now that our height, we are able to see our cards properly. If we just move back, you'll be able to see that how these cards are structured over here. Now, the most important part over here is that we want to be able to, whenever we click over here, we want to be able to flip over this. And if you remember in our app.js, what we did was that we added this or in our flashcard.js, we added this flip class. So let's just add this flip class over here so that whenever we click, we are able to set this flip class. So I'll say card dot flip, make sure there is no space in between. And then I will add a variable over here, translate. Okay, let's not add translate since we want to rotate it. So rotate dot y, and let's make this as 180 degrees. So our first part is complete. Now, if you must have noticed that there is also this sort of hover animation happening. So let's just also add that after this flip animation. So we'll say card hover, and then we'll add some translate y. We just wanted to move a little, so we'll add 2 pixels, minus 2 pixels over here. And I want the same box shadow that I have earlier to pop up. So I'll just copy that and paste it over here. Maybe just darken it a bit. So just adding 0.5 instead of 0.3. Now that our hover and flip animations have different classes, let's also specify these animations taking place in our card style. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to have this transform over here, and we want to give it a perspective. So this will allow us to do these animations that we want. So I'll give it a perspective of 1000 pixels. Then I want to have the rotate y, and we'll use the same variable that we had created earlier. So I'll use this variable rotate. Not sure why I added rotate, but yeah. So rotate is over here. Now let's add translate y, and I'll certainly use my variable again over here, which is translate y, and then 0. So this would basically ensure that we are properly doing this. Let's just check this. So if you see, what's happening over here is that it is certainly flipping, but what we don't need is that we don't need this to show up after this has flipped. To do that, we have a property in CSS wherein we call it as transform style, and we'll give it preserve 3D. So now whenever we flip it, you'll see that it preserves the 3D value, and the back face is now visible to us, which is our answer. So this looks pretty much the end goal or the end cards that we really want over here. But if you see, there is this smooth animation happening. So let's try to build that as well. And what I'll do is simply I'll add this transition of 150 milliseconds. Let's see what happens. So if you see that this transition is now quite smooth, and we are able to get that nice 3D effect that we would obviously want with our cards. And this also solves the problem of our back face not being visible initially. So now whenever we click on this question, it flips to give us the actual answer. You remember earlier I had also added my flashcard classes over here. So let's add the flashcard option classes over here so that we get some CSS running in these options as well. So what I'll do is I'll add a nice little class for all the options. So this should have certain margin running from the top, and I'll specify it to be 0.25 rem. Perfect. Now what I would want to do over here is, again, within these options we have the individual flashcard options as well. So let's add those, and let's add the options over here. So again, I want the margin top to have about a 0.25 rem. And what I want next is maybe a color. I want the color to be a bit of an off black, or like more of a grayish color, so that it is a bit more distinguishable. I'll increase the margin over here to be 0.5 rem so that looks a bit better. I don't want it to be the same font size as our question, because that just is not pleasing to look at. So I want it to be a bit smaller. So right now I guess 0.75 rem works for me. And this is our flashcard option class. Now between different options as well, I want them to have certain margin, or I don't want to have certain margins with them. So let's add the flashcard option, and I'll choose the first child to have a margin top of 0. Perfect. So if we see our actual cards over here, you'll see that we are pretty much on the same lines, and we are now able to generate everything from scratch over here. Now the next thing that I really want to configure is basically the structure of how we are going to load our APIs. I want to see that how can we really basically want or basically we can attach our different categories over here. We can attach our amount that we see over here. And the next set of problem also involves in fetching the data through our API. So for this purpose, I'll be using the Open Trivia API, so OpenTDB. So if you go to this website over here, I'll attach the link in the description. You'll be able to see the API that we'll be using. If you go to their API and see that how they generate, so basically you can choose a category, you can choose a difficulty, you can choose a type, and some encoding as well, and it will just basically generate your API URL. So this is the API URL that will be generated over here. So what I want to do right now is that I want to take the use of this API URL and start populating my data in my app.js, so that this can be further passed down to our flashcards, and several different flashcards can be listed over here. So this becomes one of our goals over here, so that we can do that. For that purposes, we'll be installing a library over here, and let's just move to the same folder. Make sure that you are always in the same folder. So I'll just use the library of Axios. Now Axios is a great library if you want to work with APIs. It helps you to immensely ease out the process of fetching data from anywhere, and we'll be using this to basically populate our list and get any sort of information that we want. So let's say that I want 10 questions. So this will become my API. I'll select any difficulty, I'll select any category, any type, and I'll generate a new URL completely over here. So this will be the URL that we'll be using, and using that till this loads, let's just start working with our code itself and start initializing our Axios library. So what I'll do is that I'll import Axios from Axios. And now the next thing that I want to do in my app.js is initialize some states, just as way we did earlier. So we'll use state, and I want to initialize my class of flashcards. Let's make that capital, and I want this to be initially an empty array. So we'll be populating everything over here. The next thing, or the next feature that we'll be using to populate this would be our use effect. Now use effect is a great way to do that, because whenever you use effect, this helps in calling the APIs correctly and making certain calls that you would want. So I'll just remove this boilerplate and start from scratch. Now what I would want is basically I would want to fetch the data from this Axios URL we have. So I'll use axios.get, and in this let's just paste our URL. So I've pasted the URL over here. Then finally what I want to do is I want to handle my request. So this is how I do that. My bad. Make sure you don't add the square brackets, just add the curly braces over here. So next thing I'll use the set method, or now what we want to do is we want to set our flashcards over here. So we definitely would want to add all the flashcard values right over here, and basically enter everything in this sort of set flashcards data. But you notice that these are arrays, and we want to be really careful of how we actually enter this information. So before setting anything, let's just see in our console.log if we are able to get this information, or if we are able to get everything in the correct format that we want. So to do that, we simply would do a console log of phrase. So till this installs, let me just explain to you what we are trying to achieve over here. By looking at the data, we'll get certain key value pairs in the form this API has been created, and using that we'll be able to find the actual link or the actual structure which we would want to like iterate over, and using that we'll be returning this sort of code which would help us to basically get the features running, or like our things happening on our front end. Now that our Axios library is installed, let's just see that how this is running on our React app. So I'll have to probably rerun everything over here. Let's go back and let's reload our app. So now that our app is being reloaded, we'll be able to see if our current code works, and if we are able to fetch this information from our Axios library. Okay, so it gives us the error of use effect and use state not being defined. Let's just quickly import them. So I imported use effect. I'll simply import use state as well. Now that is there, let's go to the console log over here, and let's see that what is the sort of data we are getting. So we are getting this object, and in this object we are getting this data. Basically this is again another object, and in that data we are getting console log of various parameters which we would want to have. So we get a category, we get a type, we get a difficulty, we get a question, and if I just browse this further, we get different parameters that we want to have. So the correct answer is the one which gives us the answer, the question is the one which gives us the actual question, and if we see over here in this incorrect answers, we also get some options that we can use to load this. So this is exactly what we'll be using. This is exactly what we'll be taking into account to basically load our flashcard data. So let's see that if we are able to replicate the same. So I'll keep the console log for now, and I'll just make sure that I'm rendering everything correctly over here. So the first thing that you must have noticed is that whenever we got the data, it was in that data object that we just saw. So I'll use a set flashcard method, that is just the method from our use state over here, and in that I'll start initializing everything. So the first thing that I want to do is that I want to fetch the data and then results. So if you see over here, if I go to object, if I go to data, in the results object, I see the actual array to pop up. Then I'll go to map, because this is an array of size 10. So I'll have to use the map function to basically return the modified array to us, which would contain the actual data that we really want. So let's say that I want two things from here. I want the question item, and I also want the index of where this question item is present. Now that we have that, let's start populating everything. Now the thing is that this sort of option would come to us in different variables that we really don't want to have. So let's have a variable of answer, and I'll have this as question item dot correct answer. Now correct answer is again the like the correct key that we would want over here. So if you see this correct answer, we are using this to populate our answer variable. Next thing I want are the options. So I'll use const options, and if you want to see that the options are again array, so we want them to be populated using an array. So let's say that incorrect options should be added over here. Now what we really want to do is we want to spread this so that we have all the options as well as the answer. So we do want to have all these incorrect answers plus the actual correct answer of our question. So to do that, simply we'll use this spread operator. We'll use our question item dot options, or not options because we don't have that. We'll use the question item dot incorrect answers, and we'll start mapping that out, because this is again an array, and as I said that whenever we have an array, it's very much feasible to use this map object. So next thing we would want to do is return our A. Perfect. Now that we have that, we also want to have appended our answer, which will simply use this to append over. Great. Now that we have our answer and options, the next thing would remain with us would be to simply return something out of it. So let's say that I would want to return. Now the thing is that we don't want our users to have the same set of questions and same set of answers appearing in the same order. That would make the game too easy. We want to randomize everything so that even if they get the same answer, they don't have the options being repeated in the same way. To do that, let's create a nifty trick. We'll use the ID and we'll use our string literals to get the index. Within that index, we want to like randomize it based upon the timestamp or the date that we have. So we'll use the date dot now, and this just makes our process whole lot easier in randomizing everything. The next thing we want to have is our question variable. Now this whatever I'm formatting over here is based upon the initial format that we took. So this is exactly the data that we are going to return, and using this data now we are going to iterate over the flashcards. So the question is again in the same format that we had seen earlier. So we'll use question item dot question, and finally our answer would be answer, and our options would be. Now what we want to do is we want to randomize all the options completely. To do that, let's say that we have our options, we want to sort them. Now this is an array, so we can use the sort function, and over here let's just sort them based upon completely a random method using this random method of the math class. So we'll randomize that. and will randomize based upon the value of 0.5. So half of the time it will be some other options, and half of the time it would completely return some other values which would be basically not usable to us. So I'll remove this console.log for now, and in our form that we are using, or in our flashcards, whatever we are going to iterate over, let's just say that we now iterate over not the sample flashcards, but actually our the flashcards that we are setting, and immediately you'll be able to see that we have some cards being populated based upon some random information, and these are of the size 10. And as you can see, there are certain cards that don't get loaded properly. And what would be the reason of that? It is simply because we don't give them enough width to get populated. So let's go back to our app.css. Let's go to our card, and for now let's give them a width of 200 pixels. So that didn't work. Let's give them a width of maybe 50%, no, 100%. And does that solve our issue? Yes. So it solves the issue a bit, but we certainly have certain other large arrays over here which aren't being shown right now. To answer this problem, or to solve this problem, we would want to have a completely random way of generating our height and our width based upon the screen size that we are currently in. So that would help us to basically enlarge our container, and also help us to see the exact structure that we would had intended. So this is something that we'll take up in the next challenge. For now, you can see that we have our cards ready, and all we now need to do is add a bit more CSS, a bit more tweaks, so that we have our complete project ready. So this is Ankush Sharma from CodeWolf signing off. I hope you had fun. Do like, share, and subscribe till we meet again. Bye bye.